Hi everybody, David Paul with you, and we wanted to step in and give you a tropical update. We have a spot now in the southern Gulf of Mexico that the Hurricane Center is going to be keeping an eye on for the next several days for potential development. So we wanted to step in and make sure you knew everything about what's going on in the Gulf. Now, let's begin with statistically, if we get development in June and July, it is here in the Gulf of Mexico, Western Caribbean, or up the East Coast. Let's see, we've already had Andrea, who did form out here north of Bermuda and then exited off into the open Atlantic. Didn't affect anybody, so that one's already off the table. Andrea. If something were to develop in the southern Gulf, it would be Barry. And as we look at the open Atlantic now, everything's quiet as a mouse out here. Lots of dust. It's a little early to get storms out here. However, just this Thursday evening, the Hurricane Center says, yeah, there's a little piece of energy right here off the coast of the Yucatan, east of Belize. There's nothing developed here at the moment. However, if this little piece of energy can cross the Yucatan, get into the southern Gulf in a few days, something might try to develop here. A 20% chance that something does develop. Here's what it actually looks like on the Hurricane Center's tropical outlook for the southern Gulf. There's our little wave marked with the X there off the coast of Belize. And then not now, but in a few days, once it gets here in the southern Gulf, really over the weekend and early next week, then it would have a 20% chance of developing into a tropical depression or tropical storm. Is it going to develop? The chances for the moment are low, 20%. But anytime something has even a chance of developing in the Gulf of Mexico, we watch it like a hawk. So computer modeling on this is interesting, and that just kind of ran off to the races here. Let me back that up. I want to walk you through this. So here's the modeling on what may try to happen over the next few days in the southern Gulf. Let's take this into Saturday. So what I have on here, the green, that's the forecast rain. And then these, the black lines are isobars. They are lines of equal pressure. So what you look for potential low pressure development at the surface would be a closed isobar, like that one. That would represent a closed low at the surface. And lo and behold, the models are closing off an isobar down here in the southern Gulf. That is what has perked up the ears of the Hurricane Center. They notice that, and it's like, well, we're in hurricane season, so we're getting modeling that's closing off a low down here in the southern Gulf. It's certainly not out of the question that something could form down there. So that's what they're looking at, and that's what we're looking at. So that would be Saturday. Perhaps we'd get a closed low developing here in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Would it be defined as a depression at that point? It depends. Depends on how much convection and rain and organization it can get with it. But that's what we're looking like on Saturday. We'll just kind of roll this through. We'll go into Sunday. And that's interesting. So here's Sunday. And now look at the isobar. So we have one very broad isobar, but it is closed. It's a complete circle. And then we have another one inside of it. So that suggests at least a little bit of low pressure organization at the surface is possible as we head into Sunday. And you can see the rain and thunder showers now. The modeling is also associating with that. So a little better chance that we might get something trying to fester down here and form a closed low and perhaps get a tropical depression going down here in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Now, even if this does just stay here, it's a broad counterclockwise rotation, and that would sling moisture even up into the Texas coast. It could sling moisture up here, even if nothing develops at all. We could have an enhanced rain chance. Let's roll this forward. Let's go on into, we go into Monday, and what there is of this appears to be elongated now. So that would suggest not very well organized, an area of rain and storminess, and that would suggest, just looking at the modeling, that what there is of this is going to move into central Mexico. Not out of the question we could see some moisture come up in here, but maybe, at least based on this, maybe not a whole lot. And we'll roll this further. We'll go ahead and go out into Tuesday. Yeah, and that just takes everything Monday night and into Tuesday. Just takes what there is of that slug of moisture into Mexico. And notice now the difference. The isobars out here, notice how it's just a bunch of some straight lines with no shower activity out here. That would be a little ridge of high pressure closed off there. So at that point, everything's opened up and there's no development coming in. So that's what the modeling is looking at. That is what the Hurricane Center is looking at as well. If this were, oh, and by the way, this storm out here in the Pacific, that would be Flossie. That's the next name on the list in the Pacific, and that is forecast to become a tropical storm or hurricane as we head into the middle of next week, but that's on the Pacific side. So that would be what an actual hurricane looks like, and you notice we see nothing like that forecast to form in the Gulf or on the Atlantic side. If we were to get a name, we've already had Andrea. Barry would be the next name on the list for the 2025 hurricane season. So something to keep an eye on. We will watch it like a hawk. You never know. Sometimes these things can overperform and develop quicker or faster or stronger than we think they will. So something we'll be watching carefully over the coming days.